Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of Odyssey Book 3, and I got up, I think, to line 168. Again, I won't read through the Greek, I'm just going to translate it as we go. I'll read a little bit as we go. So, opsidede metanoi kia xanthos menelaos. So, golden-haired Menelaus, blonde Menelaus. Now the opsy here is adverbial. It means at length, after some time. In fact, golden-haired Menelaus. Kia is imperfect from a verb kio, to come, one of the many verbs of coming and going in Greek. So he came met noi. This is a duel here among the two of us, or to the two of us. Ekiken, he found, it's an aorist from Kikano, so he found us in Lesbos, and the us we have to supply, but then the participle here would be agreeing with that. So he caught up with us in Lesbos, and as we were, now this is from Hermino, it means to toss back and forth, so hence to debate. So they were trying to work to decide on, they were debating a dolikon ploon, a long voyage, or the long voyage. They've got to get back from Asia Minor back to Greece, and at this stage they're in Lesbos, which is over the other side of near Asia Minor. So they're tossing about in their mind the long voyage, and then we get two choices, A and A. Kat upether, whether we should sail literally from above, Chios, so in other words north of, this is an adjective meaning rugged, often used to describe Ithaca in fact, but here it's being used to describe Chios. So rugged or rocky Chios. So whether, and we'll get an optative here from Neomai, whether we go from above, or we sail perhaps from above Chios, so north of Chios, of rugged Chios, in the direction of the Syrian island. This is an adjective here. The island is Psyra. So this is an adjective, the Syrian island, or the island of Psyra. Ekontes, this is one of these sailing terms where it means having it on the left. So we often translate this as in sort of nautical terms, keeping it on our left, or whether we sail keeping on our left, or we go huperthe kioio, whether we go under Chios, below Chios, past windy, this you can see the animos root here, windy Mimas. Now the point is, the Greeks did not like sailing out of sight of land. That was always a bit of a dangerous thing because it was very hard to navigate. They liked having land visible there, so they knew where they were. At this stage, travel by sea was still quite dangerous, and they didn't have the instruments to be able to position themselves terribly well in the middle of the sea. However, the god in fact tells them that they should take the more dangerous trip, as we'll see. So etiomen de theon phenai teras, this is from iteo, uncontracted, but we asked a god, phenai, infinitive from phino, to reveal or to show us a teras, a portent or a sign. Aute hoga hemin deixer, but he in fact, don't forget the little particles here, he in fact, deixer from deiknumi, showed it hemin to us. Kai einoger pelagos meson es temnein. Now temno is to cut. Again, this is a kind of nautical term. We do talk about cutting through something, taking a short cut. It's the same idea here. So he bid us literally to cut or perhaps to make a straight journey into the middle sea, literally, so into the middle of the sea, to cut through to into Euboea. So he bid us to cut through the middle of the sea to make a straight path into Euboea. Offra takista, so that, now we get an optative here from fugo, we might, aorist optative, so we might flee, takista, as quickly as possible, offra for hina, as you often get in Homer, so that we might flee as quickly as possible, hoop ek kako to, this is kind of, we might escape out from under the kakoteta, our trouble, the danger almost, so that we might hightail it out of here as quickly as possible. Auto de epiligos uros emenai. Now the epi, I think, is a preverb going, in fact, with the infinitive here. The infinitive emenai, it's an infinitive from the verb aimi, if you're looking it up. The root of it is just an alpha, so aimi. It means to blow, and I think probably the word, well, it probably is cognate with the word for air, air, in Greek. But anyway, so auto from ornumi, and this is the this will be an aorist. Well, it's a sort of almost a pluperfect form here. He had stirred up. So it's a passive too. So a shrill fair wind, this is perhaps a strongly blowing fair wind, stirred up, and then we get this epexegetic. It's almost, this has to be the subject, this is nominative. So a shrill wind was stirred up so as to blow upon us, I think, for the epi. Haidemal oka ikthuanta kelyutha diedramon. Now, edramon is the aorist from trecho, to run, so diatrecho, to run through. So it made its, so now the high refers to the ships here. So the ships, they made their way through very quickly, Maloka, the Ichthuinta Kelyutha. Now, Kelyutha, this is a neuter plural here, it means the paths, but of course you're on the sea, so you could translate it as the sea lanes, the fishy sea lanes. So the ships ran through very quickly the fishy sea lanes. And Enukii, during the night, kat agonto, kat ago again is a technical term meaning to put a ship into. So they put into, and it's used in the middle here, I think. So during the night they put into Geristos. Now Geristos is a place in Euboea. So during the night, Katagonta, they put their ships into Euboea. It's probably, the subject of this is probably the ships itself, because we did have high there. So that the ships arrived in Geristos. Poseidoni Taron, Pol epi mer ethemen. Now the epi probably, I think, goes as a preverb with the ethemen from tithemi, and we've got to supply something like the altars or the sacrificial tables or something. So we placed many thighs of bulls. So we might say we offered up, we placed upon, understand, the altars, many thighs of bulls for Poseidon. Pelagos mega metresantes, literally having measured the great sea. So in other words, having passed over the great sea. It's a very uncommon use of metrio here, but it's sort of having taken the measure of the Great Sea. So having measured out or having passed over the Great Sea. Tetraton for tetaton. You often get the change of order of vowels called metathesis, simply to make the meter work, I think. So tetraton for tetaton, and it was the fourth day, inclusive counting, when hoter, the epsilon is elided, the iota is never elided. Well, never say never in Greek, but almost 99.9% of the time, if you see hot, it's hoter. So when the comrades, the hetairoi, of horse taming, hippodemoia, one of the standard epithets of Diomedes. Diomedes is the famous horseman. So when the comrades of horse taming Diomedes, son of Tydeus, when he estasan, probably something like brought to a standstill or stationed the balanced ships in Argos. Now the form here, again, you need to look at the commentaries here. There are various debates about the actual form of this, and there are various alternatives as to what it might be. You'll see in the Apparatus Criticus there are various different forms, and it's discussed in the commentaries there. The sense of it is just brought to a standstill or stationed. So it was the fourth day when the comrades of horse-taming Diomedes, son of Tydeus, brought to a standstill or stationed the balanced ships. Well, this should be equal ships, the ones equal on both sides, so the balanced ships in Argos. Now Argos, of course, is over on the west coast, well, depending on which way you look at it, I suppose. Perhaps I should say the east coast of the Peloponnesus. It's over on the side near Corinth. And of course, Nestor wants to get to Pylos, which is on the opposite side. So he said, they did all this, arte, but I get, in fact. Now, ekon, again, it's very idiomatic here. Ekon for akon. Literally, I was holding out for Pylos, or to Pylos. Perhaps holding my ships on towards Pylos. We get Pilon and the de ending towards. We could say, but I then was making for Pylos, in fact. Udipot esbe uros. Now the esbe is it's an augment with the verb is spenumi is the verb if you're looking it up. Spenumi, this is the aorist active. So nor ever did the fair wind, the uros, quench. Spenumi is to put, we get our word asbestos connected with this. It's cognate with this, that which can't be quenched, can't be put out. You can't burn asbestos, although it's now banned because it's a very dangerous substance. But so nor ever was the fair wind, we would say cease. So nor ever did it cease, did it quench, literally. Epe de prototheos pro iaken aenai. That aenai again is from that verb aemi, to blow. When in fact, firstly, this is an adverb, the god pro iaken for pro hiemi sent it forth, the aenai, to blow, infinitive. Hose, now with that accent it means thus, in this way. So thus I came, dear boy. Aputhe, self-privative. The puth is from that perceive root connected with punthanamai. So thus I came, dear boy, aputhes, without any knowledge, so without knowing what had happened to everyone else, basically. Udi te oida, nor do I know anything kanon about them. And then he's more explicit. Those of the Achaeans who Saothen were saved, and those who perished. Now this form here, this would be sothesan in Attic Greek. The sozo, to save, there was an original sao in sozo, and this is an aorist passive third person plural. It's that usual then for thesan ending for the aorist passive that you get commonly in Homer and in Herodotus. So those of the Achaeans who were saved, third person plural aorist passive, and those who perished. But as many things as Puthemi on the next line I perceived, I heard about, as I was kathamenos, sitting in literally our halls, so it's plural for singular, in my halls. Da a se'ai, this is uncontracted second person aorist. It's a future middle, I should say here. It's from the verb da'o, if you're looking it up. Da'o, it's connected, it is cognate with didasko, to teach, but here it means to learn. So da'o is the verb to learn. So you will learn. Hey themis esti, a little idiom here, which is the right thing to do, which is themis, which is lawful, which is appropriate. So as many things as I found out as I was sitting in my halls, you will learn, which is the right thing to do, udis accuso, nor will I hide it from you. Future from cutho is the verb, if you're looking it up, with a theta, it disappears before the sigma. So nor will I hide it from you. And he then lists those who have gotten away okay. So so eumen me midonas vas ethelamen. So the we get an idiom here. It's this is infinitive. Be elthane in Attic, aorist infinitive here, strong aorist infinitive, goes with the u. So to come well means to arrive safely. They say, farsi, the otas elided, they say the Myrmidons, who were the, this is a funny epithet here, the meaning of this is not totally certain. It either means notable with their spears, or battling with their spears, or with sharp spears. It depends on which way, on how you read the root at the end here. You can see the enkos root at the beginning. It's got nothing to do with spears, but whether it's battling with their spears, notable with their spears, or with sharp spears, depending on the roots. Again, you need to look at the commentaries on this. So they say that the Myrmidons, I'll just say notable with their spears, came safely, and we get a men. We do get a det down here, balancing it. Those whom the Phaidimos, the valiant Huios son, the shining son of great-hearted Achilles, ag for ag, this is the imperfect from ago without augment. So in Attic it'd be age, here it's ag and the epsilon's elided. So whom the bright son of great-hearted Achilles was leading. And that, of course, is a reference to Neoptolemus, was the son of Achilles, who, of course, at this stage of the story was dead. But his son Neoptolemus turns up in the myth. So he was leading them back. And now we get a det, balancing the men. And they've elided the ethel menu. They've elided the verb infinitive here. So they say that, and also farsi. So they say that Philoctetes arrived safely, the glorious son, an adjective, Poiantian, the glorious Poiantian son. In other words, this is the glorious son of, his father was Poias. But they make, Greek often turns them into adjectives here. So the the glorious son of Pias. This is the famous Philoctetes, whom they bring across towards the end. They've dumped him on an island for most of the war because he was bitten by a viper, and he has a suppurating sore, and he screams and yells, and the sore makes an awful smell, so they dump him on an island. And then finally, of course, they're told you can't take Troy without Philoctetes, so back they go and bring him to Troy, and then he's able to shoot Paris, I think, with his arrow. Sophocles, of course, wrote a play on this, the Philoctetes. So he got back all right, and Idomeneus led his comrades into Crete, heiress from Ace Ago. So led all his comrades back into Crete. Those who Ephugon, heiress from Fugo, those who escaped from war, and the Pontos, the sea, Ap-Aura, this is from Ap-Aurao, it's an alpha contract verb, so it to rob. So the sea did not take from him, takes a dative, this is hoi for auto, tin anybody. So the sea took from him not anyone. So the sea robbed him of none. The sea did not take any of his men. And that's the next section of book 3.